Dr. Sharif Abdullah offers a unique, hopeful, and visionary perspective on the persistent challenges of our time. His perspective is shaped by his urban upbringing of poverty and violence, his Ivy League education, and his work with impacted communities in America and in 45 countries around the world. His spiritual outlook is rooted in the consciousness of dozens of religions, faith traditions, and spiritual practices. Sharif offers this unique viewpoint, helping us chart a course that explains where we've been, where we are now, and how we get to a positive future that works for all living beings.
Hello, I'm Sharif Abdullah, and I'm going to spend a little bit more time with you today talking about tuning a radio. For those of us who have lived in this world long enough have tuned a radio from time to time. And you know when you're turning the dial, you get a station, and then you turn it some more and you hear a whole lot of static, and then you get another station, and then you turn it a little more and you get more static. On the dial, it actually adds up. There's a lot more static than there are stations. This is important because if you don't know that there's even a dial, if you don't know that you turn the dial to get the station, you can wind up listening to an awful lot of static and not getting any information. Right now in our society, on all sides, there's a lot of static going on. I'm not just talking about our current electoral impasse. That's going to fix itself one way or another. I'm talking about the static that's coming from each one of us, each one of you. When you're not on your purpose, you don't find yourself with a direction, you don't know what to do and where to go. We can't afford that anymore. Right now, here in Portland, Oregon, we've got people on all sides at each other's throats. We have them on all sides, breaking out windows, walking down the street, marching with guns, and none of them have a vision. None of them have a real purpose. Their purpose is to display their anger by breaking out windows. Their purpose is to display their fear by carrying guns around. There are only two purposes for a gun. Number one, you're out hunting for dinner. Number two, you're displaying to the world how fearful you are. There is not a number three. So you've got all these fearful people on this side and all these angry people on this side. When the two mix, nothing good happens from that. I'm suggesting that we have to do something else. We have to take that energy and elevate it to a whole other position. The position is lying right in front of us right now. But in order for us to manifest that, I have to, on this side, give up my fear. On this side, I have to give up my anger. We live in a society where we believe that anger and fear actually defines us. It doesn't. So we're seeing all these people, tens of millions of people who are searching for direction, searching for an identity, and they're not finding it in these media-driven images of empty posturing with guns and empty window breaking and all the other activities in between. So what we have to do is tune to a different station. When I was working in Sri Lanka some years ago, I was advocating for a change in their direction. Now, Sarvodaya, the organization that I was working with, had a policy of peace and nonviolence and had had that policy for 30 years. And while that policy was in place, the war kept getting worse and worse and worse. It looked as though nonviolence wasn't working. But what I suggested is maybe you're not tuned to the right station. And so by working with Sarvodia, we very, very subtly changed some of their behavior. And we wrapped up that change in something we call the 100-year peace plan. 500-year peace plan. And I said something when Sarvodia, we had lots of discussions in the organization before they adopted this plan. And I said something to them when they adopted it. I said, if you do this, my guess, my estimate, is that this war will be over in 2 to 5 years. 18 months later, not even 2 years, 18 months later, the war stopped. It ground to a halt. Everybody was surprised that the war stopped in this way. And we can stop all of the nonsense that we're doing right now on the right and the left, both sides engaged in nonsense. And we can elevate our view to answer the question, what is the society that we want to have for our children and for our grandchildren? What is the society that we want to have for a healthy earth, for a healthy climate, for a healthy place for humanity and all other living beings to live? Now, I'm suggesting to you that that's all possible in all the mess that we've got right now, as long as we follow what I call the 3 Ds. This is direction, devotion, and discipline. The people running around breaking windows right now are undisciplined. The people running around, marching around with guns are undedicated. The people who on all sides are angry and afraid are walking around undirected. Now, who supplies the direction? We can ask our leaders to do so. Good luck with that. I would suggest strongly that you don't hold your breath doing that. The harder course is this. You become the leader. We together will become the leaders that we know we can be. It takes some things to do that. One of the things is you got to turn off your television. I mean, really simply, and I don't mean just TV, you're going to have to limit your media-infested involvement and start learning the fine art to actually talking to people again. And by talking to people, I don't mean all the people who agree with you. I mean being able to have rational discourse with others, to be able to have compassionate discourse with others, to begin our process of creating a relational society, a society of people who know how to relate to each other, to build a society that's based on love and compassion, to build a society that's based on relationship with all living beings, to build a society that's based on inclusivity, that nobody gets left behind, including the people you don't like. This is not a popularity contest. This is how societies are born. This is a task for us. It's the task for us in the 21st century, not trying to figure out how to reform the Electoral College, not trying to figure out how to get the carbon rate down to 350 parts per million. Those are subsets of this larger quest of what is the society, what is our human society right now at the dawn of the 21st century. We're being pushed into this right now. Whether we're being pushed or pulled into it, we have to become visionaries. The work of Commonwealth has always been about that. It's now our focus to get our act together, to start working directly with each other, including the people you don't like, in order for us to build a society that literally works for all. We're together on this quest, and on this quest, I wish all of us well. So thank you.
You are invited to participate in the discussions and activities that will define a positive future for all. We are at the cusp of the expansion of our human consciousness, beyond the limitations of our past. Together, we can envision a world that embraces our human potential. Together, we can create a world that can truly work for all living beings.